A new poll on the government shutdown doesn't hold great news for anyone in Washington, with Americans giving low marks to how both sides are handling the ordeal, with approval numbers in the 20s and low 30s. The poll also finds few Americans find either Democrat or Republican positions are worth shutting the government down at all. Bill and Susan Del Percio are back with me. So, Susan, it's no shocker that people aren't happy about the government being at a standstill, but the question is how to get it moving again.
Well, the only way there are a few ways it could move again. The Democrats can say, I'm done and fold in the next hour, and the government will move again. I don't see that happening, and I think that would be really bad politics and bad policy. At the end of the day, the Democrats are probably going to have to hold out about 3 weeks, Alex. I say that because that's when between the notification of insurance premiums going up starting now and actually getting really close to the date they go into effect of November 1st, that's how long the Democrats have to hold, because Republicans will not want to own those premiums at the end of the day. Your previous guest, the Congresswoman, talked about premiums going up $15,000 per family. That is something.
Somebody makes 80,000. I mean, the House is like, wow, the percentage.
Health care is a Democrat issue. They own it much more so than the Republicans. The Republicans want to get rid of the Affordable Health Care Act. Democrats want to keep it. The only thing Republicans who supported Donald Trump and Republicans don't want to happen more than getting rid of the ACA is for themselves to not be able to afford their health insurance. And that is something that the Republicans have to look at, because when you look at the 2024 election, we saw a lot of shifts in who supported Donald Trump and the Republicans, and more of their constituencies benefit from the Affordable Health Care Act.
Yeah. So, Basil, Trump and Republicans, they're getting slightly more of the blame than Democrats, 39% compared to 30%. But a third say they blame both equally. So can Democrats really claim that the public is behind them? Or, to Susan's point, will it take another 3 weeks or so?
Well, I think Susan's right on point about that. Unfortunately, Democrats do need to hold out a little bit longer, and it's tough. There are reports about some infighting about the messaging and so on and so forth. And quite frankly, the messaging really is on the money. If there isn't a dashboard for every congressional district about how your healthcare costs are going to increase, there should be one, because that's the most compelling story. I don't care what you do on social media. That is the story. I think Democrats also need to hammer home two additional points that the Congresswoman made earlier. One, that the Republicans actually do control government, so they could actually put a stop to this whenever they want. And also, maybe the Republicans would fare a little better if they weren't so damn cavalier at the beginning of the administration about firing people in the first place. When you had Elon Musk going around with a chainsaw, delighting in the fact that government was being cut and people were losing their jobs, you know what? Maybe they'd be a little believable on being fiscally efficient, but that isn't the case. It feels punitive. It feels dismissive of people's concerns and the real healthcare issues that people have, particularly in women's health. And it sticks their nose in or sticks their thumb in the eye of the rural voters that supported them with the hospitals and clinics that end up closing as a result of this.
So let me ask you both this, because it all comes amid the splintering within the Republican sphere. NBC reports popular male podcasters and their fans are starting to turn against Trump. Meanwhile, you have Laura Loomer, of course, a close ally of the president, who's been going after MAGA mainstays that she accuses of secretly working against Trump. She's named Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Of course, Greene has broken with the GOP on various issues lately, but Trump gathered a broad coalition in 2024. Is it looking like a house of cards? Quick answers first to you, Susan.
Yes, it is looking as a house of cards because there is such a broad coalition. Trump brought a lot of different folks to the table, and that's who got him elected. You can't just be a party of one Laura Loomer and decide she's going to call all the shots. Otherwise, it falls.
Basil, last word to you.
Absolutely right. Yes, House of Cards, because they brought in a lot of people because they needed their votes to win. And now you can't control what you brought. That's their problem, and they own it.
Okay. You guys are never a problem to be on the show, so come on back very soon. Good to see you. Thank you.